Hello, I'm Paul from antivirusforyou.com, and today I'm going to review Bitdefender Antivirus Plus 2018. The main interface is simple and only tells you the essentials, like whether or not there are any active threats. As you can see here, it's smooth sailing right now. The functionality of the main interface is also limited to only the most essential commands like performing a quick scan or performing a vulnerability scan, which will check your setup for potential malware entry points like uninstalled security updates or sometimes even the missing admin password. To get into more detail, you can view the rest of the features clicking here. Bitdefender works against all threats, from Trojans and ransomware to rootkits and spyware. The quick scan feature does just that, scans your computer's most important folders for these threats, while the system scan will take a closer look at your PC, checking the rest of your data, since you never know where malware could be hiding. Going into more detail, we can open a scan manager to customize how and when Bitdefender checks the computer for threats. I can set up a custom task that scans my user folder, which includes my documents, my downloads, and so on, every 2 days at 2 AM if the computer is running, of course. And I want this scan to scan all files instead of just new and changed ones, just to be extra safe. As you can see, you can go really in depth with Bitdefender. The rescue environment feature will protect you from some sophisticated viruses like rootkits, which need to be removed before Windows actually starts. If Bitdefender detects such threats, it will reboot the computer in rescue mode for cleanup and restoration. In the settings, we can customize the antivirus feature even more. For example, quite a lot of viruses hide in RAR and zip archives, and we can prevent infection by asking Bitdefender to scan them, while still being reasonable, of course, and limiting the archive size to, say, 1 GB. We can also specify folders Bitdefender should exclude from its scans, even though you can be sure your data will always stay private, since Bitdefender scans only look at data signatures, not the data itself. If you're still using optical discs like CDs and DVDs and you're sure they're safe, you can ask the antivirus to not scan them, thus speeding up the access times. If a malicious application does manage to get onto your computer, after Bitdefender finds it, it will be put into quarantine, where you can manually investigate what kind of a threat it was and send it to Bitdefender for further analysis. It's important to mention that even with all these antivirus features, Bitdefender aims to not be taxing on your hardware, using modern techniques like cloud scanning to offload some work onto Bitdefender's machines, ensuring your performance stays high. The antivirus also has a battery mode which will intelligently change its behavior to save battery life on laptops and tablets. The web protection section seems pretty empty at first, but it's one of the most important ones, since nowadays most threats come from the World Wide Web and not local storage. You can specify trusted websites in the whitelist, and in the settings you can enable and disable different features. Bitdefender can scan your traffic for signs of malware and can block websites that masquerade as trustworthy in order to steal your sensitive data. Other features will filter and warn you whenever you visit fraudulent websites and tell you if the links you click are safe before you actually click them. In the vulnerability section, besides the scan offered to you in the main menu, you can open Wi-Fi Security Advisor, which will check your Wi-Fi network for potential security concerns, which is an area often overlooked by software like this. In the settings for this section, you can prevent Bitdefender from counting missing security updates as a vulnerability in case you're staying with a specific version of an application for a reason, or you can stop counting weak passwords as a concern. Moving on to the advanced threat defense, Bitdefender uses a technique called behavioral detection to closely monitor active apps. The moment it detects anything suspicious, it takes instant action to prevent infections. So you'll be safe even in case your PC has an infected executable not yet classified by Bitdefender's archives, like a custom-made virus. In the settings, you can specify whitelisted applications, which is useful since this feature monitors what applications actually do, and some legitimate applications can look an awful lot like viruses sometimes. Putting these programs in this list will ensure Bitdefender won't bother you about them. The Save Files section provides protection against ransomware, which will encrypt your data and demand ransom for your personal files. You can place sensitive data in specified folders which only applications you explicitly trust will be able to access. For example, you can set up a folder for your legal documents that only Microsoft Word will be able to access. By default, your user folder is one of those protected places. That includes your documents, your music, your pictures, and so on. But as with other features Bitdefender has, it is highly customizable. The privacy features include SafePay, which will open a separate secure browser made specifically for making online transactions, and the File Shredder, which will erase traces of files you previously deleted from your computer, since with most computer hardware there's some residue left after file deletion. Very useful for sensitive private data. Bitdefender also includes a password manager which stores your credit card information and other sensitive data in a secure vault, keeping it safe from malware and keeping your web browsing experience easy, since the browser extensions will offer you automatic password entry for your convenience. And one last feature I want to cover is the easiest one to explain. It's the so-called Autopilot, which will keep the antivirus from bothering you with pop-ups while still handling your file and web security. With it turned on, you can be sure to have an optimal and safe experience. Overall, I think Bitdefender Antivirus Plus 2018 is another great piece of software from the Bitdefender team. An antivirus focusing on customizability for an experienced user while still keeping it easy to understand for starters in the computer security area. This has been Paul for antivirusforyou.com. Goodbye.